The Last of Us Part 1 is an action-adventure survival game developed by Naughty Dog and released in 2013 for the PlayStation 3. The game was later remastered for PlayStation 4 in 2014 and is playable on a PlayStation 5 through backwards compatibility. The game was completely remade for the PS5 and released on September 22nd as The Last of Us Part 1. It is set in a post-apocalyptic world where a fungal infection has turned most of humanity into infected creatures. The story follows Joel, a smuggler, and a young girl named Ellie as they travel across the United States to find a group of rebels known as the Fireflies. The game received critical acclaim upon its initial release, with many praising its storytelling, characters, and gameplay mechanics. The game won several awards, including Game of the Year at 2013's Game of the Year Awards, and the BAFTA Games Award for Best Story. Hello and welcome to PlayStation Icons. Here we are dedicated to analyzing games on the PlayStation that defined the platform, from first-party console exclusives to second-party titles. In Episode 1, we're going to take a look at what makes The Last of Us Part 1 a PlayStation icon.
Now, the girl. Is she alive?
What girl? I don't know no girl. She's alive. Where? In the town. In the town.
Here's how this thing's gonna play out. You do what I say, when I say it.
Joel, I can handle myself.
It's called luck, and it is gonna run out.
You hear that? Run! There's too many of them!
You ready to haul ass? Come on. Do you even realize what your life means?
Stop with the bullshit. What are you so afraid of?
The Last of Us is played from a third-person perspective, and the gameplay consists of exploration, puzzle solving, and combat. The game's main protagonist, Joel, has to traverse across the United States facing various obstacles and threats while protecting Ellie. Exploration is an integral part of The Last of Us Part 1. The game is designed with open environments, allowing players to explore the different areas and uncover hidden secrets. The environments are richly detailed, with every nook and cranny offering something to discover. The game rewards exploration by providing players with supplies and weapons that are essential to surviving the game's challenges. Puzzle solving is another important aspect of The Last of Us Part 1's gameplay. The puzzles are well crafted and requires players to use their wits to progress through the game. The puzzles are not overly challenging, but they do offer a welcome break from the game's intense combat sequences. And combat is where The Last of Us Part 1's gameplay truly shines. The combat is visceral, intense, and satisfying. The game's AI is intelligent and reacts realistically to the player's actions, making every combat encounter feel unique. The game offers a variety of weapons that can be upgraded, providing players with different strategies for approaching combat. The game also features a crafting system that allows players to create items such as health kits, bombs, Molotov cocktails, which are essential to surviving the game's challenges. The game's difficulty is well balanced, with the game's harder difficulties providing a real challenge to the player. The game's harder difficulties also offer additional replay value, as players must use different strategies to overcome the game's challenges. The control scheme of The Last of Us Part 1 is designed to be intuitive and easy to learn, while also providing a range of options and depth for players who want to master the game's mechanics. The game's controls are primarily focused on movement and combat. Players move their character Joel with the left analog stick, while a right analog stick is used to control the camera. The X button is used for jumping and climbing, while the square button is used for melee attacks and picking up items. The game's combat system is also tightly integrated into the control scheme. Players aim their weapon with the left trigger and fire with the R2 button. The game also features a crafting system where players can use materials found in the environment to create new items such as health kits, Molotov cocktails, among other things. Crafting is done through a menu system. The game's controls also allow for a range of stealth and traversal options. Players can crouch with the circle button and sneak up on enemies and take them down silently, and use cover to avoid detection. The game's controls are meant to be designed to be accessible for all players of skill level, but with a gentle learning curve that gradually introduces new mechanics and systems. However, the game also provides enough depth and complexity for players who want to master its mechanics and engage in high-level play. Overall, the control scheme for The Last of Us Part 1 is a key component of the game's immersive and engaging gameplay. The intuitive controls and tight integration of combat, stealth, and traversal mechanics make the game feel fluid and responsive. The relationship between Joel and Ellie is one of the core themes of The Last of Us Part 1. It's what drives the game's narrative forward. The game's story is a character-driven one, focusing on the interactions and growing bond between the two protagonists. The relationship between Joel and Ellie is one of the major strengths of the game, with both characters having well-developed personalities and distinct character arcs. Joel starts the game as a hardened survivor who has given up on any sense of hope, but Ellie's presence slowly begins to thaw his heart and inspire him to take on a greater role in the world. Ellie, on the other hand, is initially brash and immature, but her journey with Joel teaches her the value of human connection and the importance of hope in a world that seems hopeless. The game's narrative is expertly crafted, with several standout moments that explore the relationship between Joel and Ellie. The game's most memorable moments involve the two characters sharing quiet moments of reflection, with dialogue and body language conveying their growing bond. The game's ending, in particular, is very powerful and emotionally resonant moment, and perfectly encapsulates the relationship between the two characters. Another major plot in The Last of Us Part 1 are the Fireflies, a resistance group fighting against a military dictatorship that has taken over in the wake of the pandemic. The Fireflies believe that Ellie, who is immune to the fungus that causes the infection, may hold the key in creating a cure for the pandemic. Joel and Ellie's journey is driven by the Fireflies' request that Joel deliver Ellie to their lab, where they can study her and potentially find a cure. Throughout the game, Joel and Ellie face numerous obstacles and challenges, including dangerous encounters with infected creatures and other survivors. They also encounter a group of cannibalistic survivors, known as the Hunters, who serve one of many primary antagonists along the way. They also encounter other survivors who have their own stories and motives, adapting and adding depth and complexity to the world. The game's voice acting and motion capture are quite excellent, with Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson delivering standout performances as Joel and Ellie.
How the hell would he even walk around with that thing?
Get rid of that.
Well, hold your horses. I want to see what all the fuss is about. Oh, why are these all stuck together? I'm just fucking with you. Bye-bye, dude.
Respectively. The game's writing is also exceptional, with a well-crafted dialogue and a character interactions that feel natural and authentic. The ending of The Last of Us Part 1 is a powerful and emotional moment that perfectly encapsulates the themes of the game. After a long and dangerous journey across the United States, Joel and Ellie finally reach their destination, the Fireflies, a group of rebels working on a cure. Ellie, who is immune to the infection, is their only hope for finding a cure. However, in order to extract the cure from her, the Fireflies would have to kill her. Joel, who has grown to care for Ellie deeply, refuses to let this happen and decides to rescue her. The ending of The Last of Us Part 1 is a morally ambiguous one, leaving players to question whether Joel's actions were justified. On one hand, he has saved Ellie and spared her from a brutal death. But on the other hand, he has denied humanity a chance to find a cure and potentially save millions of lives. The ending also highlights the themes of love and sacrifice that run throughout the game. Joel's decision to save Ellie is driven by his love for her, and he is willing to sacrifice the greater good in order to protect her. This is in contrast to the Fireflies, who are willing to sacrifice Ellie for the greater good, even if it means killing her. Overall, The Last of Us is a masterpiece of storytelling and game design, and is a must-play for any fan of action-adventure games or post-apocalyptic fiction. With a high-quality game like this, it's easy to see how it has become a PlayStation icon.